Welcome everybody to day 2 of round 3 of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. We are about to set the grid for the second race of round 3, and brace yourselves for what could be a very unpredictable qualifying session. The weather can't quite make its mind up at the moment. In the last 15 minutes the rain has been falling, then it stopped, and then it's decided to come down again, and it's left us with a damp circuit throughout this morning. It has been raining, then the sun has come out again, and as you can tell by the last couple sentences that I've been saying, we've had mixed conditions, and it's due to be like that throughout this qualifying session, I feel, looking around the clouds. So similar to what we had yesterday, this could be a race against time for some drivers. It could be a case of what tyres do they go on. It could come down to strategy, and it could be a case of what group are you in. For now, it looks like wet tyres on the cars as we go into the first of 2 groups. Welcome to you all. My name Chris McCarthy. A pleasure to be here calling the action for you this weekend. The first of 2 groups out in action. We had Group A out on circuit yesterday, so it's time for Group B to go first. Groups are decided before the weekend. These are the drivers who were in the even-numbered positions in championship going into the weekend. They are going to have 15 minutes on circuit. They'll set their times, and then it will be down to Group A to try and beat it. They are essentially fighting for what row of the grid they will start on for the race coming up later. That's a little bit of an insight into how this qualifying format works. Freddie Slater was second in this group yesterday, so do watch out for him. Pedro Clero was P1. In yesterday's race, it was Freddie Slater who won in what was a dry race in the end from Pedro Clero. Akshay Bora took his first podium finish. Evan Gilter was 4th, and then it was Enzo Deligny, our championship leader Matteo De Paolo, Hiyu Yamakoshi, Rashid Al-Dahiri, Jack Beaton, and then our rookie winner Dion Gauda. It leaves us with 11 points between the top 4 in the championship. Matteo De Paolo is now 6 points ahead of Freddie Slater, meaning if this driver on your screen wins later, he will be the championship leader. Evan Gilter 7 points back, is in a similar scenario. Enzo Deligny 11 back. It's so close out there. That's a bit of a run through as to where we are. Let's focus on the pictures now, as this could change with every single lap. Doesn't look like rain is falling at the moment. Freddie Slater is going to come across the line, give us another benchmark time, and 1:43.7.21 is the benchmark for the field to go out. So Freddie Slater, wet tyres on his car. That is slick tyres on the car of Giovanni Maschio, it looks like. And that is a spin for Giovanni Maschio, the exact same place he spun yesterday. Oh, that was very close, wasn't it? To big damage to the rear wing, and he was almost straight off at the exact same place he was yesterday. That was almost terminal for Giovanni Maschio. For context, he went off there yesterday and ended his session on his first flying lap, and that was a similar scenario. So we're seeing different tactics play out. Freddie Slater pumping in laps on the wet tyres. RPM with Giovanni Maschio have gone on the slick tyres. They do have time, if they want to come in and change. It's not a case of they have to go to the end here, so we may see Freddie Slater and Prema decide to come in, but we do have the scenario of possible yellow flags, red flags. So I think the Prema guys and Freddie Slater want a benchmark time down here, and they feel these conditions are not suitable for slick tyres just yet. Slater making his way round now towards the final 2 corners. Very comfortable he looked yesterday. Jin Nakamura is looking even quicker though, the Japanese driver. As look at the pace difference there from Maschio on the slicks and Slater on the wets. Round the banking, and the spray coming off the back of the car denotes how damp it is out there right now. And Slater goes fastest, 1:42.8, but Jin Nakamura also going quickly. Here he comes to the line now, and that's second and only 11 thousandths behind. We've got a good head-to-head going on. What about our first pole sitter from yesterday, Pedro Clero? took a first pole position, and he's only 2/10 back from repeating that currently. Oh, but that was a lock up into the first corner, and he was almost off there. Pedro Claro did say yesterday that when he got through turn 3, he knew he had a chance because he threw quite literally everything he had at it, and he is playing with fire in this qualifying session. I think everyone is going to be doing that. Dion Gauder is 4th, Ricky Liu is 5th, and it's Veselau, Gerhards, Almasergi, Ye, Bedrin, Maschio. We haven't seen Taito Kato or Evan Gilter, which tells me they're going a different way with this. Wet tyres on Pedro Claro. I think ART, Kato and Evan Gilter are going to go a different strategy here. Maybe they're waiting for the track to dry up. That's how close we were to seeing Pedro Claro off into the gravel, and it can be very tricky to get out of that gravel. Now, Evan Gilter is under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. Perhaps Kato and Gilter have tried the slick tyres and have come straight back in. That could be a possibility. Either way, they are in the pit lane. There has been an outlap for Gilter because he's under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. So he's definitely gone out and come back in. Jin Nakamura heading round now towards the start-finish line. Purple first sector and purple last sector, but can't quite beat Slater. 31 thousandths. Very close. 11 thousandths, in fact. It's incredibly close between the pair. This is the best qualifying performance we've seen from Jin Nakamura. He's doing a great job. 14th in the championship. Not driving like that right now. He's driving like someone who's been fighting for the championship lead all season. The RSGP driver who have shown great pace this weekend. Ye Reihar, P5 for the driver from Shanghai. Really good job. If he can get a top 10, what a boost of confidence that would be. There is activity in the pit lane. I can hear that through the headset. So we've got, and Kato and Gilter haven't yet come out. The clock is ticking though. Slater continues to just pump in the laps. Dion Gauder now goes 3rd. The rookie got a point yesterday and a 4th rookie win. Dion Gauder, P3. We watch Jin Nakamura down the hill, and he's 3/10 up here. This could be enough to put the Japanese driver fastest, but he runs wide down the hill. That's going to put him on the back foot, and Slater is 7/10 up. It's a case of you have to improve with every lap here, otherwise you will go down. Dion Gauder has just shown that to us. He's improved, and that could see the likes of Jin Nakamura go down the field. Here we go up to the line. Nakamura. How fast will this be is the question. It's enough to go fastest for now. Jin Nakamura provisional pole, but will he stay there because Slater is absolutely flying. Here he comes up to the line, and there he goes fastest. Gilter did go pole position, but only for a few seconds, and Claro goes 2nd. So it's Slater, Claro, Gilter, and Nakamura. Slater is half a second faster. Gauder is now 5th, Liu next along. So Gilter had waited in pit lane. That was the first time we really saw him in this session, and he's gone P3 straight away. Taito Kato is on a flying lap now. Personal best 1st and 2nd sector. Watch for Kato's name. It's about to appear on the left-hand side of your screen. Any second, he is on a really good lap. Not too sure where this will put him. Here's his teammate, though, Gilter. He's going along well. So they're on the wet tyres as well. So they did wait in pit lane for a while. It was a tactical decision for the ART team. And Taito Kato's gone P6. So that would be a row 6 start. Points go to the top 10 in Freca. Remember, this is for what row of the grid you start on. And Gilter. Oh, that's nice through the chicane. Clatters the curb there. Gilter, but a little bit wide on the exit, a bit too keen to get the throttle down, but pushing through the double right-hander. Round the banking at 14, onto the start-finish straight. It's going to be last over the line, fastest, I think, here. Gilter, purple through the first sector. And he goes second fastest on that lap. He is just under 2/10 back from Slater, who is backing off on this lap. Let's have a look back at turn 9. And a big slide there. That's maybe what cost Gilter from going fastest. This was where Gilter hit the curb, and maybe that just offset him slightly. But he was throwing everything into it. A lot of speed. And then on the exit here, we'll see the rear come out just a bit trigger happy. Gilter getting on the curb. But it shows how much he's pushing, and Jin Nakamura, you can see the bars next to their names show their sector times live, and Nakamura is purple, or was briefly. Claro is now purple, and we're seeing the clock for him at the bottom of screen now. So we're watching Nakamura heading down to turn 11. Claro not far behind him, and this would be good enough to put Nakamura around 2.5 tenths clear. Slater has just gone quicker than the pair of them, though. Slater was affected by being first over the line yesterday. I don't think he wants that again today. 6.5 tenths up is Claro. Let's see Nakamura first. He comes around the banking now and onto the start-finish straight. Time to beat is 1:41.5, and he beats it by 2.5 tenths. So Nakamura goes fastest, over to Pedro Claro next ahead. This is Evan Gilter. Let's see what he does first. Goes slower, so Claro goes faster. And that is a 1:41.062 for Pedro Claro. Slater will be next over the line of the drivers we are focusing on. Bedrin has gone 7th. Here comes Slater now with a handy toe, and he goes fastest. 1:40.7, 3/10 quicker than the rest of the field. So it's Slater, Claro, Nakamura, Gilter, Kato, Gauda, Bedrin, Liu, Ye, Vesselau, Gerhardt, Almasergi, Maschio, perhaps with damage after his incident into the barriers there, made contact, perhaps carrying damage to that rear wing. And now on a cool-down lap is Slater. We'll have the chance to go for one more at the end of this, as will all the drivers. Or will he? He's going to be, we're doing 1:40, so may have the time for just one more if he can get round in time. Certainly Gilter will. He's going slower on this lap, but we'll have one more time. 2 personal bests, but slower in terms of Slater's time. Can he find time through the last sector? Oh, that was a little bit wide through the final corner, trying to find grip out wide. Slater, it just looked a little bit erratic that time. Let's see what he can do. Across the line now. And it was a personal best last sector, a personal best lap. And Gilter, 3rd fastest, and this is going to be his final roll of the dice. Down on track time is Evan Gilter. He was into the barriers Thursday and did not get a lot of running at all. Starting to get back up to pace. He would have been happy with how things went yesterday, given the scenario. Dion Gauda has just gone up to P5. Let's watch these sector times then, because this is the final lap. Gilter, personal best, 34.4. Jin Nakamura, personal best first sector as well. Taito Kato looks like he'll be one of the first to take the flag. Round the final corner, up to the line. What can the Japanese driver do as he heads to the line? P5 for Taito Kato. So great driving from him. That would be a top 10 start for Kato. But we're seeing great times. Jin Nakamura has just on a purple second sector. Will it be a pole position for Jin Nakamura? It's going to be, oh no, it certainly won't be Evan Gilter. He's gone off, so his hopes have gone. So it's over to Jin Nakamura, Pedro Claro, who's gone purple through the second sector as well. Let's watch them come through. It's going to be Nakamura first, and here he is. This is looking like a really strong lap from the Japanese driver. Up to the line now. Will it be enough to go top? Third fastest, 3.5 tenths back. Claro will be next. There's Gilter. We saw him run wide, and it's enough to stay in P4 for now. Claro, purple through the second sector. Can he take back-to-back pole positions? Up to the line he comes, and he goes fastest by 0.6 of a second. Provisionally, that will be back-to-back pole positions. It's over to Freddie Slater, and he's going slower through sector 1 and through sector 2. So Freddie Slater, is this going to be enough for him to retain the fastest lap? I don't think it is, no. He's crossed the line, so Pedro Claro will be on the front row once again. Which side will he start on? We'll have to find out once the next group goes out. But certainly, Pedro Claro will be on the front row of the grid, and that is a really good lap. Here's what happened to Evan Gilter. He just lost the wheel, hit the curb maybe a little bit too much coming through. This was it, came in, and the car was already getting away from him as he went into the corner. Perhaps just a little bit too much speed carried into the corner there. Evan Gilter, well look, he gave it everything on that last lap, didn't he? It was always going to come down to the final lap because the track was just improving every single time. And the time now will be a 1:40.144, and that was set by Claro. That will be the time to beat. Slater second, Nakamura, Gilter, Gauda, Kato, Bedrin and Liu. Well done to Gauda. The blue box around him denotes him as a rookie. Claro 0.6 clear from the rest of the field. The Van Amersfoort Racing Dutch team will be on the front row again, and a chance for him to go and get that win befallen him yesterday. Jay Reinhardt 9th, then Tim Gerhardt, the Dutch driver, 10th. Maschio, who we saw go briefly into the barriers at the start of the session, 11th, and then Yaroslav Veselau, Sakir Al-Maserji, 13th. So it's a 1:40.144, the time to beat for the second group, and that was set by Pedro Claro. He was in the second group yesterday, fastest in his group on both days for Van Amersfoort Racing. Their last win in Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine was here in 2023 with Kaz Havercourt. Claro on pole position yesterday. Can he take back-to-back? Well, he has to wait and find out. If we don't see any more rain, it's possibly unlikely because the track will just continue to improve. But nevertheless, 2 front row starts would be a very impressive result for him after a disappointing Spa weekend. He is coming back into form in this championship and climbing up the standings as well. Currently best of the rest after the top 4 now after yesterday, and a chance to close the gap to the top 4 in the championship going into race 2 later. So Group A come next, and these are the drivers in the odd-numbered positions in the championship. So it includes our championship leader coming into the weekend and our current championship leader still, Matteo De Paolo in the number 8. He's going to be out in this session. Enzo Deligny, who is currently 4th in the championship, will be out in the 23. Matteo De Paolo is in the 8, and then Hiyu Yamakoshi in the 6. Rashid Al-Daheri will be in the 14, and our camera crew there picking up that Rashid Al-Daheri has slick tyres on. So that is a key thing to note. But Michael Belov has wet tyres on. Interesting stuff. We're seeing the crossover happen now in this session. Jack Beaton is in the 45, Kanata Lee in the 19, Akshay Bora, who was quickest in this group yesterday, 31. Nandavud Bidambakti, the birthday boy yesterday, in the number 7, Enzo Peugeot in the 74. We saw Michael Belov in the 20. Edward Borgner will take a 4-place grid drop after his contact with Adi Kulkarni, who's going to be out there in the 15. Dorian Pan is in the 28. The Mercedes Junior, fellow Mercedes Junior, we saw Rashid Al-Daheri out there as well. Okay, the crossover happening, but the rain is starting to fall. I can see out the window, the rain is starting to fall. The track is getting drier, but the rain is just starting to come down. So that it's going to be getting up to speed very quickly here and getting a lap in, because the rain is coming down, and it's coming down at a fair pace here. It's quite intense rain now. Well, we'll see how long this rain continues to come down for, but this has just thrown things into mix here, because certainly on the start-finish straight, it's heavy rain. Round the back of the circuit, though, you can see it looks good enough, and the camera lens showing there that it is falling around other parts of the circuit as well. But it's been like this. It will rain for quite literally 60 seconds, and then it will stop. And the intensity of the rain could be heavy rain and then very light rain, to the point where it won't even sit down on the surface of the circuit too much. It's been very bizarre conditions, I have to say. One that I'm sure the teams haven't really been able to get their heads around. Let's see what happens. 1:40.144, the time to beat. And some drivers with slick tyres on there, you can see the conditions that they're going to be dealing with. And have the slick tyres been the wrong choice, is the question. Drivers on the wet tyres, will they be the ones that go and set a really good time on this opening lap? This is going to be a fascinating scenario. Let's see the sector times coming through. This needs to be a good lap this time from Rashid Al-Dahiri. Not only that, but they need to keep it out of the gravel. Through turns 7 and 8, stay on the track is going to be the call to the drivers, because it could just stop raining any second. Adi Kulkarni, fastest through the first sector. Is he one of the drivers that stayed on the wet tyres, I wonder? Yes. So Adi Kulkarni is just passing Jack Beaton, and he'll pass Rashid Al-Dahiri with ease. He's got a great opportunity here, Adi Kulkarni, to get himself up the grid. And it was a gamble, really, whichever tyre you went on. Oh, Adi Kulkarni almost going off. They're really struggling out there now. Rain continuing to fall here on the start-finish straight. Oh, and Edouard Borgner has had a spin, I think, there. He will take a grid drop. So Edouard Borgner has had a spin, unfortunately. Down the start-finish straight we go. And Adi Kulkarni goes fastest with a 1:47.970. Down the start-finish straight, and Jack Beaton has come into the pit lane. Let's have a look at a replay. And there we can see Edouard Borgner. The moment he spun round, a real shame for Edouard Borgner, but that's the conditions we're dealing with. Heavy rain continuing to fall here at Zandvoort now, and Kulkarni, who made the choice to go out on wet tyres, is fastest by over 5 seconds. What a choice the British driver has made. He hasn't been in the points so far all season. His best result in qualifying, P17. What a result this would be for Axel GP, new to the championship, if he can continue to set times whilst the track is at its best and put them right up the front of the grid. He's got to nail these laps now whilst the track is at its best. Important laps here for Kulkarni, graduate from GB3. He's been to this track before. told me he loves the wet conditions. He's grown up racing over in British Championships, used to changing conditions, and he's demonstrating that now as he comes across the line and goes 1.5 seconds quicker. Adi Kulkarni, 146.434. Let's look back at Matteo De Paolo, who's continuing to go on slick tyres. So he's just going to continue to cycle round. He's second and best of the slick tyre runners so far. We haven't seen Michael Belov, Jack Beaton and Enzo Peugeot even set a time yet. This is our championship leader, remember, Matteo De Paolo. So he needs to try and set a time. Over the line, Matteo De Paolo goes second. And that is a 149.623. So the gap between the slick and the wet, 3 seconds. Lots of activity going on in pit lane. Kanato Lee third, Hiyu Yamakoshi fourth. They're going to run out of time really quickly. If they want to get in and change, they have to do it now. Adi Kulkarni will take this. Right now, he'd be on the front row for Axel GP. And Dorian Pan we see in the 28 leaves, and look at this in pit lane. Everyone frantic down there to get in, wet tyres on and get back out. Now, the interesting scenario here will be how are the track conditions compared to when Adi Kulkarni set his time at the very start of the session. We're about to find out, and what is the weather going to do over the next 7.5 minutes. It looks like the majority of the field has come in. Matteo De Paolo is still setting sector times, so that tells me he's still on slick tyres, but pretty much everyone else has come in. Belov, Beaton, Peugeot, they all came in. And Belov, we saw him come in pretty much straight away, so he didn't really even do a lap. Beaton has just done a purple first sector. Now there was, I did see Enzo Deligny's car almost going into the path of another. That was the RSGP car. So no surprise, Michael Belov, I think, will be getting really frustrated here that he is in pit lane whilst most of the other field are out. So CL Motorsport just trying to get Michael Belov going. Here we go, there goes Enzo Deligny. That was Enzo Peugeot. Well, yeah, Enzo Deligny in a rush to get out went into the path of Enzo Peugeot there. And we'll have to see what the stewards say about that one, but it doesn't look good for Enzo Deligny there, unfortunately. Let's focus back on the racing on track, because Jack Beaton, I think, is about to go fastest. There we go, and that tells us that there's lots of time to be found out there. Jack Beaton, who's on wet tyres now, has gone faster, so there's more time to be found out there on circuit. And that will be a message to the rest of the field to go. And Matteo De Paolo, well, if he hasn't come in, the championship leader for wet tyres, surely he has to do it. He is. So Matteo De Paolo is now in pit lane. Hiyu Yamakoshi is in pit lane. To the left of picture, there comes out of pit lane Matteo De Paolo. So he's making his way out. And Hiyu Yamakoshi, likewise. Well, they need to get themselves out and get back up to speed and hope the conditions stay fairly similar. Jack Beaton taking advantage. He was one of the first cars back out on these wet tyres. In fact, I think he was first. And he's now setting the pace. This is the biggest test to these racing drivers. Who can adapt the fastest? This is some of the things you cannot prepare for when you're in the sim. You can turn as many laps as you want, but you just can't prepare for changing conditions mid-session. These are the biggest test of these racing drivers, these athletes who prepare all winter for a season. And a lot of drivers always look forward to conditions like this, because that's when they can go out and take advantage and prove what they've really got. And Jack Beaton is currently doing that right now, isn't he? Half a second clear of the rest of the field. As fans, this is the sessions we enjoy the most, isn't it? Unpredictability at its best. Enzo Peugeot second, and it's going to be a timing tower that just changes with every second. Kanato Lee now goes second place. Al Dahiri fourth. Deligny fifth. Nando Bidambakti said to me yesterday he's going to take pole position today. It's his birthday this weekend. Are we going to see Jem go right up to the top? Let's find out. He was celebrating his birthday with the team yesterday, and he said, tomorrow is our day. Let's find out. He's looking very, very fast. This is the number 15 car of Adi Kulkarni, who is now in P8. Here we are, watching the Trident driver. Let's see where this puts him. Certainly going to be a lot higher than where he is over the line. There it is, second for Nando Bidambakti, 67 thousandths away from Jack Beaton. He's got a chance. The fight is on, but so it is for Kanato Lee as well. Less than 3 minutes to go. Our championship leader, Matteo De Paolo, is all the way down in 10th. Enzo Deligny, fourth in the championship, P6. Now P7, they need to get good laps in here. Here comes Deligny. Well, this is going to be his first real respectable lap. The sun is shining. The track will just keep improving now. Last over the line could be our driver on pole here. Peugeot goes to provisional pole. Enzo Deligny goes next. Pedro Claro's time, I remind you, was a 1:40.144. We're not near beating that time yet, so currently Claro would be overall pole position. This is looking like the fight right now for second, but let's see if that changes. Claro, a 1:40.144. The fastest time we're seeing right now for Hiyu Yamakoshi, a 1:42.397. But with the sun shining, that could dramatically change. Van Amersfoort will be watching through their fingers for the next 2 minutes as the times change all the time. Matteo De Paolo, a crucial lap going in there. That puts him P4. He won't feel that's good enough, though, because Freddie Slater right up there in his group once again. So he will need to be getting himself up the order. This will be good for Enzo Deligny, who could pass Matteo De Paolo in terms of the championship if the results are to stay as they are. And the times are still tumbling. Hiyu Yamakoshi has just done a purple first sector. Everyone going faster. I would give you sector times, but I can tell you, you can see by the bars to the left, every single driver is going faster. The driver who's going fastest is Yamakoshi. Another one I'd say to look out for, looking down, is probably Akshay Bora. He's really flying. He may be down the field, but he's looking like he's about to do a big jump. Enzo Deligny up to the line now. P1, 1:41.7. We're 1.6 seconds away. Do they have enough time to catch that time of Claro? They've just made a jump of about 1 second. Hiyu Yamakoshi could be the driver to do it. Here he comes to the line now. Yamakoshi, P1. Next is Kanato Lee. What does he do? He's going slower on this lap, does not improve. One more lap for any driver who gets across in the next 15 seconds. Bora, there he is, P3 for Akshay. So he's just gone up to P3, but beaten immediately by Matteo De Paolo. Nando Bidambakti on a flyer as well. He's currently P7, but I think we're going to see Jem go up from P7 into the top 5 here, and what would be a top 10 start. Rain is changing all the time. Hiyu Yamakoshi could lock out the front row for Van Amersfoort Racing, and he's purple on this lap. Bidambakti did improve, but stays 7th. Last chance saloon for everyone. Sub 35 through the first sector were both Yamakoshi and Deligny. Will it be a front row lockout? for the Van Amersfoort Racing team. Yamakoshi, the Van Amersfoort driver, is fastest on circuit. Last laps being turned, everything being thrown at it. The quickest time overall is a 1:40.1. Who will be overall pole? Will it be Claro or will it be a driver from this group? Let's find out. Over the line we go. We're watching Enzo Deligny. Can he improve? Yes, he goes fastest, 1:41.6. Someone off into the gravel. What can Yamakoshi now do as he's about to make his way up to the line to Paolo, also going quick. Here comes Yamakoshi now to the line. Can he lock out the front row for Van Amersfoort? He can. It's going to be a Van Amersfoort Racing front row unless they can be beaten by Akshay Bora or Matteo De Paolo. Here comes Akshay Bora to the line now. Will it be another front row start for Bora? No. It's P3. Matteo De Paolo at the top of the screen comes across the line next. And he can't improve. He's made a mistake. So it's a Van Amersfoort Racing front row lockout. Pedro Claro will be on overall pole position. And starting alongside him on the front row will be Hiyu Yamakoshi. What a performance for Hiyu Yamakoshi there. He will start on the front row for the first time this season. It's back-to-back pole positions for Pedro Claro. It's a front row lockout on home soil for Van Amersfoort Racing. And that is going to be a result that goes down very well with the crowd here. Well done, Hiyu Yamakoshi. On the last lap, he'd been beaten by Enzo Deligny, but then went 4/10 quicker than the rest of the field. And Van Amersfoort Racing, who were denied victory yesterday by Freddie Slater and Prema Racing, now have a chance to go and get a double podium. They are 1 and 2 on the grid. And can they go and get their first win since 2023 here at Zandvoort? You'd have to say they have a very good chance in doing so. Well, what a qualifying it was. I did say, brace yourself for an unpredictable session. It changed with every single corner, didn't it? Pedro Claro will be overall pole. This is going to be your outside row of the grid. Hiyu Yamakoshi leading the group from Enzo Deligny. Akshay Bora, well done again to him, performing well. Our championship leader, Matteo De Paolo, under threat from losing that championship lead now. He'll be row 4. Kanato Lee in the top 10 overall. And Rashid Al-Tahiri will be row 6. Jack Beaton will be row 7. Nanda Woodbid and Bhakti row 8. Then Enzo Peugeot row 9. Dorian Pan will start on row 10. Michael Belov row 11, late out of the pit lane, wasn't he? Edward Borgner will take a grid drop, so he'll cycle to the back of the field. Adi Kulkarni led for a huge amount of that session. Did show great pace at the start, but just seemed to fall away towards the end. Nevertheless, Axel GP can take the positives from leading in the early stages and making the right call. And that's a good result for them. And that is all for qualifying. We'll be back at 1:30 for the race, and it will be a front row lockout for Van Amersfoort Racing on home soil. Hiyu Yamakoshi will be on the outside of the front row. Starting on pole position will be Pedro Claro. A first front row start for the Japanese driver alongside his Brazilian teammate. It's going to be an absolute cracking race later. And well done to Van Amersfoort Racing. Join us later to see if they can return to the top step of the podium in over a year and a half. We'll see you at 1:30.